Good afternoon, class 11 children. Today we once again continue with chapter 8, which is cell, the unit of life. And children of class 11, if you remember that in video third, which was the last video, we had studied about plasma membrane, cytoplasmic inclusions, mesosomes, and gas vacuoles, etc., prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, and the differences we studied and discussed the difference between plant and animal cells, different shapes and sizes of the cells. Today we will take the structural and functional study of different parts of cell. So we see in this cell membrane, there is a remarkable difference between the external and the internal environment of the cell. The plasma membrane serves as a boundary between the two. We see that the plasma membrane also serves as a barrier for the molecules entering or leaving the cell. The presence of a membrane in the cell wall was seen for the first time by C. Nageli and C. Kramer in 1855, and they called it cell membrane. Then we see E. Overton came in 1899, and he assumed that it was a double layer of lipid molecules. Let us have a look at how this layer looks like, children, here. And we see that E. Overton in 1899, he also proposed this particular model for the cell membrane, and we see that he said that it was a double layer of lipid molecules. So we see the lipid molecules here. The name plasma lemma was given by J.Q. Plower in 1931. In eukaryotic cells, in addition to the plasma membrane, intercellular membranes are also present to surround vacuoles and organelles. Plasma membranes and subcellular membranes are called the biomembranes, as we can see here. The biomembranes are composed of 60 to 80% of proteins. Can you see these protein molecules? So these plasma membranes or biomembranes, they are composed of 60 to 80% of proteins and 20 to 40% of lipids and 1 to 5% of carbohydrates compose these cell membranes, children, that we are looking at here. Then we see that the proteins which are present here, they provide a kind of mechanical support to the membrane and act as channels for various metabolic activities. The phospholipids, cholesterol and galactolipids are the main lipids that are found in the plasma membranes. But the phospholipids is the only lipid that is found in the internal membranes. About 30 enzymes have been isolated, children, from the plasma membrane, and these include 5 nucleotidases, sodium and potassium activated ATPase. Another enzyme called alkaline phosphatase has been found, and phosphomoniesterase and adenyl cyclase. These enzymes have also been found from the plasma membrane. Then there are some proteins which are specific to membranes. As we can see here, proteins are specific to membranes, and these are known as membrane receptors. These proteins are known as membrane receptors, children. The receptors mediate the flow of materials and information into the cell. They control what elements or what particles or what substances or materials will flow into the cell. This is controlled by the membrane receptors. Let us look at some of the theories of membrane models. Under the electron microscope, we see that the plasma membrane appears as a unit membrane of 75 angstrom to 100 angstrom thickness. Number of theories have been proposed to explain the arrangement of protein and lipid membranes in the plasma membrane. Now here let us look carefully at this diagram, children, and study this diagram. We see, children, that unit membrane concept as per J.E. Danelli, the membrane, and there was another scientist, H. Davison, in 1935. The plasma membrane has a trilaminar structure. Or there are three membrane structure. That is, a lipid layer is bounded. Here we see is the lipid layer, and this lipid layer is bounded on either side by the protein layer. On either side we see that this layer, the lipid layer, is bounded by the protein layer. Then we see that the proteins are represented in globular form. On both the sides they are represented in globular form. The electron microscopic studies supported the presence of three layers in the plasma membrane. There is an outer and inner dark osmophilic layer separated by a light osmophobic layer. So we see these inside are the inner dark osmophilic layer, and the outside are the light colored osmophobic layer. Okay, children. Then we see that the osmophobic layer is about 30 angstrom, and the osmophilic layer is about 25 angstrom thick. The universal occurrence of trilaminar pattern in cell membranes was led by J.D. Robertson in 1959 to propose the concept of a unit membrane with the trilaminar appearance. This was supported by J.D. Robertson. And we see that all unit membranes in most of the cell organelles consist of a bimolecular layer of phospholipids. Here are the bimolecular layers of phospholipids covered by a layer of proteins on either side. The phospholipids are oriented in such a way that the fatty acid non-polar group face towards each other. These are the non-polar groups which face each other. We see each of these non-polar groups of lipid layers are facing each other, shown by the dark shading, children. Then we see, children, that the other are the water soluble ends. Here these are the water soluble ends, or the polar groups, which are on the outside, that you can see here. So Danelli-Davison model and Robertson unit membrane models are both based on the structure of myelin, which is a non-typical membrane, and it is now believed that the arrangement of lipids and proteins varies in different membranes. Now let us look at another theory of membrane model which we will study today. Let us look at another theory and study this theory. This theory is known as the fluid mosaic model, and in this it was proposed by S. G. Singer and G. Nicholson in 1972 that the lipids and integrated proteins in a membrane are deposited in a sort of a mosaic pattern. Children, you must have seen the mosaic floor where you can see lot of different patterns on the floor. So likewise, the fluid mosaic model speaks about the lipids and integrated proteins spread out and deposited in a sort of a mosaic pattern that we can see here, children. And we see that, children, in this particular diagram, the proteins may be of both extrinsic, which means peripheral. We see that the proteins are extrinsic, or these are on the outside, and the intrinsic. The proteins are also intrinsic. We can see here the intrinsic proteins and here the extrinsic protein, which are peripheral, which are on the outside. The former remains, that means the extrinsic proteins remains associated with the membrane surface. This is the membrane surface. So the extrinsic protein, it remains associated with the surface, while the latter, that means the intrinsic protein, enters the lipid bilayer and makes an integral part of the membrane. As you can see here, the extrinsic proteins are soluble and readily dissociate from the membrane, whereas the intrinsic proteins are relatively insoluble and they dissociate with difficulty only. They come out of this layer with difficulty. Then we see that they are amphipathic, which means that both hydrophilic and hydrophobic groups, they occur within the same molecule in nature. The hydrophilic and the hydrophobic groups, they both occur in the same area of the membrane. And we see that their hydrophilic polar heads, these are the hydrophilic polar heads, which you can see here, these round ones. The hydrophilic polar heads, they protrude from the surface of the membrane, and the non-polar regions are embedded. Here you can see that the non-polar regions are embedded in the interior of the membrane, children. And the biological membranes are thus semi-fluid. These biological membranes shown here are thus semi-fluid, so that the lipids and the intrinsic proteins can make movements within the bilayer. They can make movements within the bilayer, but are held in their positions by means of non-covalent interactions. We see that the lipid molecules may exhibit intramolecular movements. The lipid molecules may exhibit intermolecular movements or may rotate about their axis, or they may rotate about their axis or may show flip-flop movements. Then we see that the fluid mosaic model, which is shown here, this explains the dynamic and functional properties of the membrane in contrast with the static picture of the membrane in the Danieli-Davidson model. So children, we will conclude this video with this understanding of the fluid mosaic model, and we will continue with few other experiments to show the fluidity of this plasma membrane. So wish you all the best. Have a good day. Thank you.